Yo, chat, what is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the stream. I hope everyone is having a good Friday. So far, at least, there are whispers anyway, of another bit of cold, some chilliness coming through certain places and parts. So, for those of you that may be affected, stay warm. Hopefully you are staying warm. How goes it, everyone? How goes it? Frigid, yes, a frigid climate is descending. All right. There's that. Boop, boop. Okay. Cool. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gas. How many of you use that expression in your day-to-day? Now we're cooking with gas. I find I actually use that one quite a bit. Okay. There we go. All right, Tagaderm, welcome Tagaderm. I think you might be first on this one. Albatross, good to see you. Kurgan, welcome. Cut off your head. Mordred, we've got Maze was unavailable. Maze was unavailable. What's going on? Dosi, good to see you. Glorf, Wolfgar, Briar, Datamok, Fringe, Fodari, Alinar, VTC, Lone Dog, Runelinks, welcome. Laydale, welcome. What is going on? Dougbug, Black Fox. Not quite first Black Fox, but close. But close. Black Lotus. Oak Knower. Fox Behind the Box. Nithier. Gulo Gulo. Raydale. Good to see you all. Green Jericho, Eric Peterson. We've got Kurgan in the house. Xscore. Homer Cleese. Tomwin. Vanna. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me this afternoon, evening. It is good to see you all. Also, Tolmart, Datamok again. What's up, Datamok? Skiach, Rozon, Crypthound, Enoch. Good to see you all. Now we're cooking with butane. Yeah. That's another one. I want to play, but don't want to get into it so close to the wipe. Hey, that's understandable. You tried Summoner lately, how's it feeling? Most people who haven't played Summoner or who aren't playing Summoner currently are waiting for the Summoner refresh coming in February. So we're going to do a quick check-in on the Summoner today, just so you guys kind of keep a little bit of track with how it's coming along. We also had the Mastery Dev Diary go out today, and so far it seems like it has been helpful and relatively well received, but I want to talk through that with you guys. In fact, let me go ahead and get that pulled up. Who's your question? Relinks. Joppa traveling, so can't stay, but I read the article today and think you guys are still on a good track. Good luck with the new master design. 3 tracks would have been nice, but 2 tracks with stronger flexing sounds like a good way to go. I agree. Thanks for popping in, Runelinks. Okay. All right, so got that pulled up for when we're ready to look at that. Great write-up. Good. I'm glad. What's with the grass in game? It ain't moving. It ain't moving. Well, it's something we'll have to take a look at, huh? So the announcement, my whole guild is up in arms and say what we are, say that we're a WoW clone now. Okay. And the other comment is if they want more classes, why not just make them a warrior is a tank, not a DPS. If you want a new class, just make that from the start. Yeah, well, we could do it like that. And we certainly, that was certainly part of the discussion. And what is still very much a part of the discussion is we need to make sure that as we build out class mastery that we don't squash the opportunity for future classes. So that's a very reasonable thing to discuss for sure. However, when we create a new class, we want it to be something that is very unique, that has like a really, really strong footprint and a very unique footprint in the game. And to make a class that is kind of the equivalent of something like a warrior that deals damage, that's not really unique enough. It's not far enough removed to kind of substantiate a full class, where something, like a beast lord or, a samurai, kind of a Ronin type thing, or, I don't know, so, something like that, like a chronomancer or, who knows. We want to make sure that there's room for that. I'll give you another example, which is a little bit of a bean, but like with the wizard, for example, we could develop a whole new class that is like a spellblade, or we could have the spellblade being wizards being one of the few classes that can wield swords, one of the few casting classes that can wield swords. We can lean into that with the wizard and create a mastery expression around a spellblade DPS class. So again, I think what it does for us is it creates this really awesome, creative, like, kind of, what's the word? We can be really creative within the context of what's inferred for each class. These kind of implicit roles that exist within their established framework and their established lore, that, number one, keeps us, it like kind of manages it a little bit. It does a little bit of self-managing. But just allows us to bring more of that class identity out, which I'm really, really, really happy with. Now the whole WoW thing, like, I understand that perspective. Like, this just kind of, are we moving towards like the World of Warcraft clone? And the answer is no. Like, I don't think just because you have a system like this that in some ways has some comparisons to WoW, the WoW talent tree, that it needs to function like that it needs to feel like that. The thing about, I'll give you an example so that I'm not just fluffing. World of Warcraft, their talent system was very linear, and it culminated in this kind of ultimate, this ultimate thing, right? Like your 31 point talent was kind of the capstone talent, and that's what, like, in many cases opened up the build, so to speak, or the spec. It kind of solidified it. Mastery for us isn't really going to be exactly like that. There will definitely be, so conversely, there's going to be all along the way things that are going to more kind of slowly move you into that direction, as opposed to like kind of locking you in right from the outset. And when we get into more of kind of like breaking down the class kits and stuff and the mastery, how that's going to work. Which, I'm hoping we get the first one of those out soon, because that one will be kind of the doorway for us to really start talking about it more fully. But yeah, WoW's talent system was very like, it was very linear, and it was very kind of, I don't know, cut and dry. Because like in our mastery system, you're going to be able to kind of, straddle both lines if you want to, and never really go all the way in either way. Which, I mean, I guess you could do that in WoW too, but I feel like in Pantheon, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that to be even more viable than it was. So I think the WoW clone stuff, again, I'm hamstrung a little bit right now by how much I can talk about. So a lot of the arguments I'd want to make would involve needing to go into more detail. So I know it will be something that will prove out in time that it is meaningfully different, and I think actually fits Pantheon really, really well. So, oh, that's cool, Crit. Yeah, I'm really excited to explore that one. By the way, Dwarf Man, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Crit with the tier 1 and the 22 months of support. Crit, that's amazing. Appreciate your streams, Joppa. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Zelius with the Prime and the 10 months. Thank you, Zelius. You guys rock. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Eric. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. So question around that or clarification, could a warrior tank without any points in mastery, i.e. taunt is a part of all warrior toolkit without buying for mastery? Yeah. So that's kind of what I was starting to get into a little bit, is every class will have a base kit, and that base kit, as it does now, as you level up, you'll get access to a new ability in that base kit. And so if you think, for example, about a warrior, even a warrior who goes all the way in to Warlord will still have shield block. The difference is a Warlord warrior who's all the way in to the Warlord warrior side won't have any reason to have shield block on their bar, because everything about their mastery and what they are becoming has to do with either, wielding a two-handed weapon or dual wielding. And so shield block, not only does it have no place on their bar, but you're not going to have any of the improvements and empowerments of shield block that come with the Bastion tree because of how the trees are designed. You're just not going to be able to reach far enough or have the necessary prerequisites or whatever to unlock some of those things. So what is interesting about this is you're going to have situations, for example, where a Warlord warrior could, in theory, flex into a very basic tank, but nowhere near to the degree that, you would need to actually tank, I mean, if you're talking like, getting a group together and going and fighting some low level stuff and whatever, I mean, yeah, a Warlord warrior could potentially, put on a shield and, make half of their abilities kind of obsolete because they're not wielding a two-hander or dual wielding, but they could do a few things to kind of, they'd have a taunt baseline, they'd have shield block baseline, things like that, but they're not going to really be able to function, in that role very much. So yeah, that's a good question. It doesn't mean that baseline kit's not going to be there and be available. It just means that as you grow and as you kind of lean more one way or the other, those things are going to fall off. So yeah. What about the Dire Lord? We're meant as the DPS tank. Well, I mean, the Dire Lord still will be, more of a DPS-y type tank, more of an offensively oriented tank by nature. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, if all of my abilities are centered around dealing damage and are centered around having like a two-handed weapon or dual wielding, and my abilities have grown to have like a, very specific synergies with themselves related to dealing damage and dual wielding or using two-handed weapon, why would I put why would I spend a slot on shield block if I don't have a shield equipped? You know? So, yeah. But what I want people to really understand is like, you're still like, I think this creates a well curated freedom to be creative with your class and your class expression. So to me, it's kind of cool. It's like, because a warrior is still a warrior, but you can choose to kind of specialize between these two expressions of that whole class. But it's not a hard locking system where it's like, hey, if you choose warlord from the beginning, and that means that like this whole section of stuff is off limits to you. It's not like that. So finding interesting ways, because you are still a warrior, to incorporate some of those things, like, for example, being able to throw shield block on your bar for some, kind of interesting reason. I think that, to me, creates some sense of emergent gameplay within the warrior class or within the class fantasy, and it kind of self-manages. So I am speaking about these things from the perspective of being very much like, you guys know where I come from in terms of EQ, in terms of class identity, like all that stuff. And I have pretty sensitive radar to these things, but this to me feels like a really in the pocket kind of threading of being able to allow for the kind of freedom of expression and creativity that we want with our classes, and not diluting the roles, which is, really important, that we don't want to do. Yeah, the Whispered, we're going to have, as we get closer to spring, we're going to be doing a lot of information dumps on things like that, like what's happening with stats. We're going to be able to cover things like hit rating, avoidance, skills, what's going to be changing with skills. Guys, there is so much good stuff coming, and a lot of information, coming with all those things. So yes, it is coming. We will be talking about those things. There's some things I'm really, really excited for you guys to hear about. And it's all just going to keep kind of helping all this come into shape more and more, where things are headed. All right, let's see. Well, Joppa, all current classes. Oh, hey, Vasher, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. You are very welcome, my friend. Thank you. Joppa, will all current classes have some form of the mastery trees? Yes. All current classes will have mastery, and they will have the two-sided mastery array. Yeah. Is there any viability to putting points into both left and right side of the mastery tree? So, yes, but the way that we have been thinking about that is that it will be, much. I mean, it will be by nature a much more kind of I don't want to call it like a It would be, it's doable. It's possible. There's nothing that prohibits you from doing that. It's just that it would have to be for a really specific outcome, because you would definitely be missing out by doing that on certain things where you would need to go deeper in one of the trees. But maybe there's a reason for that. And I think we would see, from class to class, that being more or less viable, just depending on how things shake out. So we're not necessarily designing for a hybrid to be like kind of like a well-substantiated spec. But it's the kind of thing where I would expect there to be some cases where, depending on a very specific desire, based on how you want to play or how you're planning to play, that it might end up being really cool or just fun, or maybe it's like, maybe if you enjoy soloing and you want to be more of like a solo type experience, maybe there's like a hybrid, mastery that's actually really well suited for that. I'm led down hearing only 2 specs per class. Like I said in the diary, though, that the reason for that ultimately came down to trying to be very careful to not dilute the classes. And the more we split classes up, the more we have to kind of, potentially do more of that diluting than we want to do. So I think, three's more variety than 2 for sure, but I think for the sake of each of the mastery paths feeling really strong in identity, it was the right move. Yeah. Expect improvements to that by the spring. Yes, Wreckage, for sure. Yep. And it'll be ongoing. It won't be like a full night and day game wide, shift on all fronts with itemization, but it'll be really nice steps forward in that area. And then that'll be ongoing from there. Snickerdoodle says, hey, what's up, Chris Frozen? Good to see you. Hold on, wait. I'm scrolling back up here. Make sure I don't miss anything. I'll come back to your Snickerdoodle in just a second. So if I understand right, a Warlord will be able to be a basic tank, but won't be able to be a good Warlord if you can't be good at anything. Okay, so that's not the right understanding. Okay, Zelius. If I'm understanding right, a Warlord will be able to be a basic tank, but won't be able to be a good DPS like the other DPS classes. What would be the point of going Warlord then if you can't be good at anything? Let me be really clear. A warrior will have a base kit, and what I'm saying right now is applicable to all classes. A warrior will have a base kit, and in that base kit will be, I would say the majority of their abilities for the most part. At least 60 to 70% of their overall ability arsenal will be considered like base kit. Some of that will include things like, for the warrior, shield block. Because a warrior that starts off, warrior starts the game, they're not going to, within the first 5 levels or within the first 10 levels, probably even within the first 20 levels, they're not going to be able to kind of fully realize either their Bastion persona or their Warlord expression or anything like that. They're going to be having, quite a few base kit abilities come through. The difference is somebody that creates a warrior and they're like, I want to play a DPS class and I want to play a Warlord as a DPS class. Like, that's what they want to play. Because they have this base kit that includes something like shield block, when I say like a Warlord warrior will be able to tank, I don't mean that in the sense that they would be able to truly fill that role. Because with the way that the game will ramp, just because you have shield block doesn't mean you're going to have all the other things that you need that are going to flow through the Bastion Mastery to be an effective tank. Could a Warlord warrior put a shield on and, kind of like invalidate most of their like build and their loadout by having a shield on and then use shield block from time to time in a very basic way? Yeah. Is that worth, like, does that count as a tank slot? No. So that's that's that. And then the whole thing about like whether a warlord warrior will be able to be a DPS, the answer is yes. Like, and I talked about this on the very first stream we talked about mastery, that if that's not the case, there would be absolutely no reason to go that route. Because think about it, put yourself in that situation. Forget about whether or not you like this. Forget about whether or not you like mastery or you like the idea. Would you go a route that, if it was built on the notion of doing damage and being DPS, would you go that route if you knew you would never be able to be as good as the other DPS classes? Like, you wouldn't be taken on, you wouldn't get invited to groups. You wouldn't, I mean, what would be the point? You know? Yo, Eric Peterson, thank you so much for the tier 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Warlord will absolutely not be able to main tank. No, that's... I want to make that as clear as I possibly can. Yo, Crypthound with the membership, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Oh, you're talking about Spellblade, Crypthound? I figured that would be a juicy one. Be fun to talk about that soon. Yeah, they would be able to tank in lobby content for sure. Because again, like I was saying, don't think of mastery as like an on-off switch. Like, I hit level 5 and I choose Warlord, and therefore like I am a DPS class, or I choose Bastion and I'm a tank. Think of it very much more as an organic progression. You will have a base kit, which means that a warrior, you know, when they get the base ability of shield block, they're going to get that, you know, even if they are planning to go full warlord, they're still going to get shield block, and they're still going to, it's still going to take time and levels and mastery points before they fully flesh out, you know, where warlord was going DPS wise. So yeah, at lower levels, you could probably see a Bastion or a warlord, either of them tanking, because they haven't progressed far enough to really deviate one from the other yet. So think of it much more as an organic kind of process more than an on-off switch. And the other thing to remember too is that with the unified NPC set that we're building for spraying, depending on your group makeup, your group size, depending on the level of the NPCs that you're fighting, you might not even need a tank to do certain content. You know what I mean? How many times did you guys group up in EverQuest without a tank? And as long as your answer is sometimes, then we're remembering things on the right wavelength. Sometimes. There were plenty of times where I remember being in groups in Kazakh Thule, for example, fighting maze mobs in the courtyard, and we didn't have a tank. And it sucked. Depending on the situation, there's lots of bouncing around, but sometimes you couldn't find a tank. And so you had to do groups without a tank. Or you had, you know, somebody kited around, or you had, yeah, like something like a ranger or even a monk try to tank. So that's kind of what we're talking about there. Dev Diary says Warlord loses shield block and shield wall. Okay, so let me clarify that. Shield wall, absolutely. Shield wall is an actual unlock that comes later in the Bastion branch that a Warlord warrior would not have enough points to actually get that deep in to get it. What I meant by losing shield block is more kind of in essence of what shield block is, because the way shield block is going to change baseline compared to what the empowered, beefed up, juiced shield block that Bastion Warriors are going to have, it's in essence, it's as if they are losing it, in the sense that it's not really going to be either, number one, it's not going to be viable in their kit. It's not going to have anything to do with their actual, what Warlord Warriors will have slotted on their bars, because you won't have a shield equipped as a Warlord Warrior to do damage. And if you're trying to tank as a Warlord Warrior, then what are you doing? That's not what it's made for. So the combination of like it not having a role on your bar and it not having any of the empowerments and, things that the Bastion tree would give it is what I'm getting at there. To a large degree, Osmos, yeah. Rework's probably too strong of a word. More about kind of refreshing, going through, and then kind of calibrating their kits, their base kits, with the things that they will unlock through mastery, with the way that their abilities will be transformed through mastery. Kind of a holistic process, yeah. How are you going to stop people from going into both trees and having a crappy build? We're not. Yeah, Symbiosis, we're going to be having a lot of, we'll be having kind of a flurry of dev diaries coming out on each class, going over their mastery and kind of what their different mastery paths are going to be. You'll retire from your career and start working on it tomorrow. Nice. Tears, it's just the best answer I have for that question is it's just different people working on different things. Yeah, the most I'm going to say about any of the other classes right now, because I'm seeing some questions about like Enchanter and Dire Lord and various things. You're not going to wait long. Like I said, one of our priorities right now is to get those written up and get them out to you guys, so we can get you that info. You can start thinking about and kind of processing these things, and we're going to be trying to do that soon. But one of the things that I really want to explore that mastery is going to allow us to do is the potential for, like, example, to take, and again, don't take this as like a definite hard, like, this is actually what's going to happen and this is what it's going to look like for this class. But if I'm going to use Enchanter for now, as a hypothetical, obviously the Enchanter is intended to be, one of the flagship control classes, CC Master. Enchanter also has the opportunity to have a lot of different support related and debuff related aspects of their class. And so one of the things that we are exploring is, if someone wants to play an Enchanter that is, more focused on something like charm, for example, and charm being kind of the bedrock of an entire kind of like DPS focused enchanter, that could be really interesting. So you could still have your baseline enchanter that, or the other tree of the enchanter, the other branch that, it still gets charm. Charm's part of the base kit. But if you're big on that's why I want to play an enchanter. I want to play enchanter because I love the concept of charm. I want to be able to have the most powerful form of charm and have access to, all of these abilities that the thing I charm uses, and, really kind of be like a DPS class based on your charming. That could be an angle that we could explore with this. And then the other, branch of the enchanter being much more of that kind of mainline enchanter, the mez, the buffs and debuffs, the more kind of just general control class, as opposed to, the charm focused like enchanter DPS. And again, I'm not like, that's why I'm saying, like, don't take what I just said and run with it as like, okay, this is exactly what the enchanter is going to be. I'm saying this is an example of what we can explore with mastery while staying inside of the kind of lore and the context of what these classes are. It's the same way with Druid, where, we have an obvious one related to healing, but we also have this whole like Stormbringer side of the Druid as well, right? Where, there's a really cool opportunity for, a really interesting, unique DPS kind of class. But then at the same time, you have just as much opportunity with the Druid to explore kind of like a trait imbuing support class that both fit within the realm of Druid. And so that's, as we sit with these and as we really kind of like prove out, okay, here's how we want the mastery to go for these classes. These are the kind of conversations we're having, the kind of things we're considering. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm really excited about it, and the dimensions and the depth that it's gonna add to the game, even just coming in the next few months when this all drops, like it's a big moment. It's a big deal. I'm very excited. The Liver Lord. That's funny. Yo, Oren, good to see you, my friend. And thank you so much for the tier 1. 21 months of support. That's amazing. Oren, thank you so much. The OG. Metal Bard. Teglayan, it's not a rule. No, it shouldn't be assumed that every class will have like their opposite kind of mastery path would be DPS. No. We have some creative ideas in there. I bought a new PC the other day. Oh man, does it feel good to play Pantheon smooth and looking so much better. Keep up the great work. Nice. Joppa, can you define trade imbuing, please? Yeah, so the original vision that I had for the Druid is that they would actually have to go out into the world and harness traits from things that would become like buffs, like abilities that they could then imbue into other people. So for example, like the speed of the Black Wolf, for example, would be actually harnessing that trait from an actual Black Wolf in the game, which would become the speed of the Black Wolf trait ability that you could then give to another player. And then as you got up in level, you would have to upgrade those through actually finding, higher level wolves, like Veil Striders, for example, being kind of a mid-level wolf that you could harness their speed and then have an upgraded, speed buff to imbue. And same for like, thinking like wading into rivers and harnessing like the restorative kind of, nature of that water to create like a health regeneration buff or something like that. So that was the premise, or kind of the general idea of like harnessing traits from things in the actual world, and then that becoming like an ability that you could use. Almost like a blue mage in the Final Fantasy universe. I don't know. I've never played a blue mage. I didn't play. I am woefully not up with Final Fantasy, so you need to explain. I really loved the spell finding, spell learning of the blue mage. It gave you a new way to play the game and gave you a reason to explore the world. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool. So last stream you expanded on the Ranger 3 branches. Now that you're going only with 2, can you explain in what direction it'll go? Yeah, so the way that it's going to work in all cases, as we're kind of going through and we were looking at the 3 branch, we've decided on the 2 branch, is that the 3rd branch is now going to be woven and kind of interspersed into the 2 branches. So for the Ranger, for example, you're going to have your, and again, like, let me just give the caveat that things are subject to change. But the Ranger, you've got, let's say in your mastery array, you've got the side that is leaning you more into an archery focused Ranger. So, cause that's what your class fantasy is. You want to be an archer, you want to stay at range, whatever. And then you have your melee Ranger, which is more about obviously melee damage and whatnot. And then your interspersed would be that whole kind of survivalist branch. So interspersed, you would have specific things related to traps, related to bombs and tonics, foraging, tracking, druid, nature, magic, things like that interspersed. And that's where you're going to get some of that, like, I'm going this far in this side of the tree, but I'm also going to reach into this other tree to grab these specific things because they complement kind of what I'm building in terms of what I want to be able to do. So, yeah. As well as things like the skirmishing. So there will be, options within Mastery for skirmishing as well, if you enjoy that. Not necessarily, Glorf, because a lot of those things are self-serving. I mean, some of them, just like they do now, especially with a skilled ranger, can be used for, utility and some various things. But a lot of it will be self-serving, for the sake of their main role. And it's not to say that you won't. I mean, again, going back to the wizard, the 2 kind of potential wizard mastery paths I mentioned were varieties of DPS. They're not becoming like a more of a support focused or utility, or not becoming like a healer or a tank or anything like that. Is the mastery system going to be added to or expanded on or changed? Is it set in stone at launch? I mean, it'll definitely be iterated. Yeah. I mean, a lot of that. In fact, one of the reasons why we're trying to make sure that it's ready and available with the PTR is because we want to get as much, playing and feedback as we can. Yeah. Yeah, Zikar. So we've been getting a lot of feedback on that, and I just want to say, like, this is a perfect example where, you know, it's possible, just like I was describing with the warrior, where if shield block is part of the base kit for all warriors, that doesn't mean, you know, that, like, that's fine, because it's the bastion warrior that's going to actually make a difference regarding shield block in terms of how shield block develops and, you know, becomes like a powerful tanking tool that it's intended to be. In the same way, even if we did decide to make the Titan part of the base kit for summoners, we have we have everything we need to make that mastery path what takes the Titan from being just kind of a baseline, you know, kind of like they are now, and like transforming it into like a true, you know, main tank type role. So yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. So with the blue mage, like, was it more like spell steal for enchanters, where you kind of in the moment of battle you can steal a buff and buff, or is it kind of thing where you would gain like permanent access to it? All right. And while I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna go ahead and get let's get I want to give you guys a quick little refresh or a quick little check-in on the summon. You would gain the spell skill permanently. Okay. Yeah, Sarah Smug. Well, yes. So Necromancer and Bard are the other two classes that are meant to kind of fill that role in the mainline sense, and then the plan is also for rogues to have a mastery path for kind of like a full CC focus as well. So definitely will be more CC options coming in, as well as expanding, you know, what the enchanter is capable of. Yes, we will have measures in place to guard against chain summoning the Titan. Yep. Hello? Look. Armor. It's actually not brown. It's actually gold. Gold is just polished brown. Here, let's do this is only going up to tier 2 as well. In terms of like visuals. And they're just test items, which is why they all look like cloth. I know. Let's see. Bindings. We gotta fix this where you can't like drop and switch. That's everything. Oop. I'm here, you can start. Thank you. Thank you, Briar. Welcome. Yes, indeed, we can begin. No, I think it's, in fact, Zikar, I'm pretty sure that summoners are going to end up being one of the more powerful solo classes, especially once they get Undyne in the mix. You can kind of see their weapons in there. We're starting to do some passes on the actual like specific weapons for the different pets. Still very early days there, but yeah. Yeah, we're taking a look at the new summoner a little bit. Showing off a little bit of it throughout the different streams. Blade, Gale Step. No, that's the wrong one. That was my pet's ability. Oops. Okay. That all appears to be correct now. I think. Flash bomb. And a bomb. I'm going to talk in just a second about like what's happening here, but just making sure that everything is as it should be. Let's get a big Tempest hit here. Pantheon. Okay. Nice. All right. So again, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the Zephyr, where I don't want to give you guys the full breakdown of everything that's going on. I just want to give you a little insight into what combat with the Zephyr is going to be like. So, remembering that, part of the summoner play is weaving in your own abilities. But, so with the Zephyr, you've got now your Gale Step and your Gale Strike, or essentially your backstab, kind of woven together now. So you've got, teleport behind the target and then do a backstab all in one go. Your kind of bread and butter attack on the Zephyr is Windblade right here. And every time you hit with Windblade, the Zephyr is going to gain a stack of swirling winds. Or whirling winds. And then you have this ability, Tempest, which becomes usable after the first stack of whirling winds. And then it's essentially going to deal more damage based on how many stacks there are. So, similar to kind of Welling Wrath and Unleash with Paladins in that sense. So, yeah, there is a bit of stacking going on, but you know. So you initiate combat, do the Gale Step, into the Gale Strike, Windblade. You can see I've got my first, got Whirling Winds now, which means I can use Tempest right now if I want to. Tempest doesn't have a cooldown, so I mean, you have just kind of that interplay right there, back and forth, but the more stacks of Welling Wrath you have, let's build up to 5 stacks here. I mean, the feedback, the visual and audio feedback is so much better. Boom, there's a 5-stack Tempest, 142 damage. Sick. And then, of course, you know, throughout all this, I'm, you know, weaving in my own abilities here. Got loot. Any UI improvements to track stacks easier? Yeah, there's a lot of UI improvements on the way. We still plan to have Updraft as a utility ability for the Wind Pet, and we want to do the same with the Fury. So we'll just be balancing those to make sure that they're where they need to be. I've got the start of the food and drink line in place. That's going to be, you know, improving over time. So right off the rip, you know, the very first ones, we've got summon Conjure Globe of Water, and oh, it only gave me 4 because I already had another stack. It's like summons a stack of 5, and same with Conjure Black Bread, which we remember we need the Who Burnt the Bread memes. Won't be the Cleric burning the bread, though. And these are the very first ones that you get, and they're a little bit better than the baseline, like, stale bread that you get. But then each time you get an upgrade, it's going to upgrade the quality. So you're going to get, you know, even more back with the higher level ones, and you're going to be able to summon more. So once you kind of, you know, get high enough level to upgrade your food and your drink, you're going to be summoning like full stacks of 20. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you can summon an actual world item that other players can interact with. That will give them, you know, a full stack of 20 when they click it. Yep, summon ale. We'll have that as well. Indeed. I'm going to bring out the Fury as well, though, because we've been updating some of their visual effects a little bit. So I wanted you guys to see those. Have you ever read the Project Gorgon wiki on Druids? If you haven't, you should read the section on Druidic emergencies. Okay, I will. I will do it. Missing his belt. There's the instant cast Mana Flame, Mana Bolt. Mana Burst. This is the guaranteed crit. Oh, sick! He got it in. Now I can move the cast bar. Yes. It's a little buggy, but hey. Oh, that's so nice. Now I can see my cast and my pet's cast at the same time. That is huge. I will miss the original EQ animation for pets casting. They looked like they were conducting an orchestra. They did. They did, now that you mention it. Man, I'm so happy with this. Like, that's huge. Like, that's been my biggest kind of like concern, is if we want this kind of puppet master feel for the summoner, we want you to feel like most of what you're doing is coming through your pet. Can we get it to where you really feel that? Like, it really feels like your pet is an extension of your character. And man, these changes have made such a difference in that, you know, actually feeling like the case. It's crazy. Let's get a mana bomb on there. Some mana back. Okay. So good. Welcome. Welcome, DPS class summoner. That's awesome. Cool. That's a good one, Glorf. What must it be like to be a goblin mining away deep in your tunnels, only to instantly appear high up in the trees and know the stories you'd hear are true, and a deity is about to start nuking you to death just to show off to his worship? I hadn't read all the way through to the very end of that, but that's hilarious. Like, imagining a goblin just mining away. Awesome. I cannot wait to get this out to you guys. We got, there's still some more work to do. We got to finish getting the pet weapons in place. We've got to get the armor statted appropriately. And, added to drop tables. We've got to get the rest of the summoning in. Yeah. Die Invis Clicky. Is there anything else? Okay, I think that gets us where we need to be for now. we got to get some damage shields in. What I'm going to do with summoner damage shields is I want them to be more a part of their like actual DPS. So I want to make them, I'm probably going to make them a little bit shorter lasting, but like a lot like stronger. So it's not like a fire and forget for like 15 minutes, but it's like when you put it on your tank or you use it on yourself solo or on your pet solo, that it's really gonna contribute meaningfully to the DPS. And then yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it really at this point is we got to get Undyne in. We've got to do some updates to the way Undyne works, and then we just got to flesh out the summerness. Oh, and the other cool thing we added, guys, this is really important too. Hold on. We are going to be giving all pets. Going to be giving all pets a passive. Well, that doesn't even really matter to say. It'll be invisible, so you won't even know that it's there. But they're all going to have a passive AOE damage reduction to keep them from getting absolutely annihilated in group settings. So all pets that are combat pets will take significantly reduced AOE damage. That'll be a big one. So yeah. So now we're gonna actually get to play in the Cleric a little bit. Keep getting some levels. Woohoo! Okay. That's really loud, isn't it? Sorry. Sorry. I guess it changed again. I don't know. I don't know why it would. But it did. Is that like not saving? Yeah, but I thought I had updated it since that last one. Interesting. Okay, well we're back in the. Oh yeah, my mouse sensitivity too. Goodness. Oh, and the ended it. Yeah, FXAA. Huh. Huh. Hmm. Okay, well, let me know. Let me know if this is better. If this doesn't, like, blow your ears out or anything. All right, what do we want to do? Level 9. I probably should go sell and pick up any new... I'm pretty sure I have some new spells. Let's do that. The Gobby Cave would be... Ooh, that'd be fun. I'm down for Gobby Cave if anybody's... Wow, that zone took a long time. Sometimes we have, like, devs that come through for different reasons and change the time of day to, like, test... Or they, like... Well, not so much to test, to, like, I think try and, like, say... Because if you type /time, it tells you what time it is. But if you type /hour, like, if I typed /hour right now and pressed a number, it would change the time of day. So I don't know how these keep getting so off sync, but they do. Level 9 Cleric, looking for group, Gobby Caves. Guys, I cannot wait till we get a new skybox. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my. And the second moon, yep. Oh yeah. That's no moon, that's a space station. Do we have... Wait. It really does feel like we've got depth of field in the game now. Yeah, the effect on the portal is still, this could be really bad. Oh my goodness. You know what? I should probably bind up here while I'm waiting for them. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go do that. Or down here, actually. Bind down here. The group that I'm in, this person says, I'm going to give my spot to someone else now that you have a real healer. Need to farm some cash to buy my spells. I just got a little bit nervous because the expectation, of course, is that I'm a real healer and that I'm going to actually be able to heal well. So, you know, like on my warrior, I got totally past that point. It was like, you know, I felt really good. I haven't gotten to that point on my cleric yet. I totally forgot that I was going to head over and see if I had any new spells to get, so I need to do that. Let's bind here. Okay. Hey there, name's Oliver. Need something? Are you a woodworker? I am. Wood's honest if you listen to it. Rush the cut, ignore the grain, and it punishes you later. Most folk only notice when the door won't close or the roof starts talking at night. Thoughts on Thronefast? Oh, apparently not. Wow. Apparently somebody, myself, apparently forgot to hook that up, that node. So that's the thing. Let me, hold on. We can check that in real time. He has no thoughts. I was really curious about his thoughts. I'm just now remembering that, like, now you guys actually have a lot of that stuff in your, on your, like, it's live now, so that's really cool. Verisimilitude. 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 That's the first I is often overlooked. Verisimilitude. Oh. Oh. Little do they know it's Joppa. Yeah, I don't think they did. That's kind of, that was cool. They didn't know. Oh, they're over at this entrance anyway. That's hilarious. Hilarious. Let me actually communicate with them for a second. If at release there isn't a tavern called the Well-Met Traveler with barkeep Versi and chef Militude, I am going to be very disappointed. Well, you see, the one problem with that is that the barkeep would actually be barkeep Varus. Barkeep Varus, because again, that first I is critical. Verisimilitude. So what does a day at work for Joppa look like typically? Sure, meetings, but are they group problem solving, brainstorming, or is most of the creative dev stuff one-on-ones? It is a mixture day to day. I have lots of like one-on-one meetings and then lots of group meetings. And then it kind of ebbs and flows with how much like hands-on work I'm doing at any particular time. So like right now with the summoner, I'm doing a lot of that. You know, I'm working on the summoner right now largely with Mark, Fuso. We also have programming, doing a lot of stuff related to summoner. And that ebbs and flows. There's a lot of documentation work that I do as well. So like I'll be doing documentation work on like I'm doing documentation work right now on Warrior Mastery, but I'm also doing meetings in tandem on Warrior Mastery with the design team as we're kind of like working through that together. And then I'm also doing future documentation on upcoming zones and then, you know, doing meetings on upcoming zones. And so there's a lot of meetings, Oh, show. Wiki Wacky Woo! Yo! Hey, 10 gifted subs. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Wiki Wacky Woo. That is very, very cool. I really appreciate that. And congrats. 10 people liberated from Adland. Thank you, Wiki Wacky Woo. That's awesome. Okay. Let's do... I'm just kind of going ham here. I'm not really worried about keeping any of these things. Delete that. Okay, what do we need? Already known. Okay, we got bolster. Okay. How much money do I have? Definitely won't revive. Definitely want that. Definitely want that. Okay. Well, we didn't get rebuke. Man, really wanted that too. That's okay. We have more things to look forward to. More things to build towards. Yeah, no. Where's our cleric? I am headed back. Glorfest. I wonder who that is. Is Bronson alive? Yes, Bronson's alive. Bronson just did I think Bronson just did a stream with Static Group Live last night. He was, or at least grouped with them last night on stream. Yeah. Bronson is, I just had a meeting with Bronson last night too, or a meeting, it was a larger meeting than just Bronson and I, but Bronson was there, and we were going over a very important new NPC that I'm so excited about. That's coming with Vadia Dakara to get him ready to get started on it. I'm really excited about it. But I am going to have to talk to him, though, about if he decides to do any streaming related to it, because I really want it to be a surprise. So, yes, standing on fire and in fire will eventually burn you. Yes. Yes, it will. Woo! Yay! Wait. No! No! There we go. Boom. Yeah, it actually still kind of irks me that it doesn't burn you. Irks me. Self-made cleric. I am, yes, I'm still doing kind of the solo group found play style here, but I have kind of made peace with accepting buffs. Yes. Receive the glorious light of buffs, of my buffs. Yes. Okay. Nice, Glorf. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. Cool. This person has no pants. Oh my. Well, I'm ready to roll, but it looks like we're our group is dropping like flies. Like literal flies. Yo, Super Trash with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Super Trash. No, Skiatch, we don't have that level of live asset streaming. Did you see Nathan Napalm finally did a stream again? I did. I have not watched it yet, but I did see it. It showed up on my YouTube feed, so I do plan to watch that. That's really cool to see him back. Looks like I'll be maining a summoner in a few weeks. Yeah. There's a level 12 monk and druid. Looking for group. Ooh, level 46. Level 46 aura. We can get that monk and druid. Let's do it. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be quite a few summoners, yeah, when we first push them out, for sure. Skiatch, damage shield. By damage shield, I mean a shield that deals damage when hit. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let's see. How is it breaking Mez? Hey, Chamberlain, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Oh. Okay, I see what I did on the graph. I'll fix that in a little bit. All right. What's the plan here? What is going on? While we're waiting for this group to come together, any like crazy like video gaming news that you guys have heard of, aware of? What's the talk of the town? What's the talk of the town? I've been reading a lot about High Guard. High Guard. I did see the Ashes news. Yeah, did see the Ashes news, which, you know. It happens. You know. You see the above about the Mez break damage shield question. Yeah, I was curious what about damage shield was, or what about damage shield was causing the Mez break. Eminem going into EA in March. Okay, so did they actually move it up then? Wasn't it originally going to be April? I heard they were moving it back. I did hear about Catherine O'Hara. That actually made me pretty sad. When you're taking hits the same time a Mez lands, it will break. Okay. 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 Gotcha. I've been seeing a lot of Ashes videos goes up. I've been seeing a lot of Ashes videos going up on things like a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. But I've not watched any of them, so I'm not sure what's going on with Ashes. If there's anything going on with Ashes, you know, other than just continuing to develop the game. Did I hear that Pantheon will release and all the naysayers are horses? I didn't know they were horses. But I get what you mean, because they're naysayers. Nay. What have... Guys, apparently I've stopped being able to speak. I apologize for that. What have been your thoughts on Ashes so far, Chris? From the time you've spent playing it? Yeah. Well, by stopped, I mean I've never been able to speak. Well, the horses and water change their behavior right now. You gain swimming skill if you were on a horse and go into the water and move. Yeah, that's a bug. I'm gonna work on my climbing a little bit while I'm standing here. Been looking at the new Game of Thrones series yet? No. I have not seen Game of Thrones. Just to further blow your minds. Yeah, seriously. Joppa, I have enjoyed the grind of Pantheon for the most part. I am worried with the more XP per mob, same-ish XP per hour, that I will outlevel a dungeon before getting to where I want to go in it. Farm. Have any words to ease my concern? Okay, sorry. That was really cool. Like the way the audio was, what it was doing there. Anyway, schnoz. I'm worried with the more experience per mob, same-ish experience per hour. Well, for one thing, I don't think it'll end up necessarily being the same experience per hour, because you got to factor in, you know, the time to kill change as well. The goal of the changes are to make, with a higher time to kill, to make oh, someone's waiting for me. With higher time to kill, that, you know, you're going to be getting more experience for that kill. So the additional time that it takes, you know, to get a mob down, that you're going to be getting a little bit more experience for that. But because it's a higher time to kill, you're not going to be, you know, mowing through NPCs as fast. I've got to... Whose main tank is it, Glorf? Alright guys, we're now in the... You're getting noodled. We're now in the zone here of like actually like healing a group in a real dungeon, so... Ooh. We get some more of these buffs out. I the only healer? I am the only healer. Okay. Okay. Oh wait, that's not right. Guys, I didn't put any of my new spells on the bar, so that's good. In case anyone was wondering. Devotion, revive. Okay. What is this again? Three-second cast. Ah, okay. So that's kind of like our big heal. So I actually want to switch things. Pressure plate. Ooh, there's that crit. There's that crit. This poor group. Schnoz. Okay. Sorry I got off track there. I do understand what you mean, and the best answer I can give to that right now is we're going to be making that fundamental change to experience to accomplish that the goal of the like the feel of time to kill versus like how satisfying it feels to actually kill something. But when it comes to the overall rate of experience gain and how quickly like players are able to go through levels and the max level, that's something that we will be iterating on. Our goal is not that you would feel like you're so rapidly advancing through a level that you're not even able to kind of enjoy the content that you're doing because you out level it too quickly. So I understand the concern, but know that that's something that we'll tweak and dial in, especially with the PTR and once we start getting input on how quick things are moving. Can't. Oh, it was a group drop. Oh, it dropped from these. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yes, I will take that. Thank you so much. This is a sick weapon. I've gotten this weapon before, and I like it a lot. Let me actually heal our tank here. Big, beefy heal. I don't think I can express how excited I am for us to change this animation right here. This is at the top of my animation polish list, the two-handed animations. Yeah, really choking up on it. Like holding it right below the top of it. Ugh. Ugh. I played to max level in Ashes. Janguli says, I like the game world. The crafting is okay. The node system is good. My problem with the game is that the combat is... Oh. I mean... That's a pretty strong, like, verdict. There, when I think of, like, the spectrum of what it could be, that's pretty strong. What I think is interesting when you talk about, like, an AoE spam fest, like, I've been wondering how they were planning on handling the because I haven't played Ashes yet, right? So I know they've talked about like tab target versus like action target, or kind of like action combat. Is that the case? Like, can you switch between the two? And does it feel any better depending on which one? Out here holding that mace like a 5-year-old playing his first year of T-ball with a full-size aluminum bat. That's right. That's right. That's called aura. Right there. Hey, Joppa, you missed my question the other day, but I was wondering if you could speak on the battle cleric and a full heal paladin. I don't know if we're gonna go full heal paladin. I don't know if we're gonna go full heal paladin. I think there's a really cool. I think there's some really cool like DPS categories for paladin, especially given their lore. And I want to be really careful about not like blurring the line between the cleric and the paladin as well. No, we need more healers. We need more healer types. So just because we don't do paladin healer doesn't mean that we're not, still looking to add some more healers. We don't want it to be just this massive amount of DPS classes and, so yeah. And note, I'm not saying we're not going to do paladin healer. I'm just saying I'm not sure if we're going to go paladin healer. We are still we're still holding a couple of considerations in tension. Hold on one sec. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Necro is definitely on the list of considerations for that. Yes, Jeff. Yes. We're going to be improving that for sure. That's one of the big pain points right now is being able to target tanks in groups and heal them and whatnot. Will we add more mastery trees in future expansions? It's possible. Yeah. I mean, if we did that, though, it would be a pretty major thing because we would probably want to do that across all the classes. And at that point, it would likely come down to the decision between adding more mastery trees class wide or, you know, just introducing a new class at that point. Also, will a character still be able to do their main role in an experience group, even if they use their mastery to go off role? Warrior tank, even if DFX spec. No, they will not. What I was explaining earlier is that it's not at lower levels. It's not going to be like this hard line where like as soon as mastery unlocks and you decide and you want to go like Warlord Warrior, for example, it's not like an on-off switch where it's like, boom, you completely become unable to like do anything tank related as a warrior in a group because you'll still have some of those base kit abilities. But as you progress more and more down like the Warlord path, you're going to be missing out on a lot of the unlocks and upgrades and changes that come in the Bastion tree to really bring a warrior into that ultimate tanking role. And you will progressively more and more move away from being able to do that. No, if we did a necro healer, it would be in the context of that control tree. So they would have like a branch that would be dedicated to like their control utility with their healing, and then their other branch would be dedicated to more of kind of the essentially their DPS tree. Their DPS branch. I love the rogue and the enchanter. I worry that they could be virtually identical in CC effectiveness. Will enchanter still be the king of CC, or do the lines blur? A dedicated like CC rogue, the lines will blur a little bit because they would need to be capable of doing like legitimate CC for a group. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be identical, and it doesn't mean that, you know, for example, an enchanter would still be considered probably the most powerful CC class in terms of coverage, you know, because the rogues would be doing their CC through very specific means in a very specific way. But the rogue would still be very, very capable. And the thing to remember too is that it's not, when we have these like main roles like CC, what does it mean to be the best at something? Because you have to consider like what other things rogues bring to the table. Their scouting ability, you know, their some of their like disruption and various things, their traps. And so it's probably more accurate to say that if we're thinking like which one's better, it's going to depend on the context. It's going to depend on like where are you fighting, like what's the context. Ding! Yes, Craggy, 2 mastery paths. I got this healing on lock. There will be more spells at launch, Yezi, for sure. I don't know that the Necros are necessarily going to get more dots as part of that, because they have quite a few dots, but there's still some fleshing out to do with the class kits. Oh, show. So am I reading this right? Like, this does not apply to this divine healing spell. Kind of bummed. Kind of bummed by that. Do I have a preferred tanking class? I really enjoyed playing the warrior. I haven't played the Dire Lord enough to feel like I have a fair kind of felt experience opinion on it. But I ended up really enjoying the warrior. Dugbug, maybe. Not with any of the current bosses that are in here. There's not really a major boss in this this cave. The only one that might come close to that, I mean, obviously there's the Terraformer and the Chief, but I mean, neither of them really kind of like feel like major boss category, so. There's a bag. Anyone else need the bag? Summon pineapple pizza. Does anybody really like pineapple pizza? I mean, really. And does it have, does pineapple pizza come with the expectation that there's ham? Or is it just pineapple? Literally just pineapple, cheese, and sauce. With jalapeno, huh? Do we have plans to update the LAS after technique changes? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because we're going to be going down from 4 technique slots to 3. That's one of them. And then I think we talked about this already, that we're introducing the saved like loadout sets, right? We talked about that. Pineapple, pepperoni, and jalapenos. I mean, I love pineapple, don't get me wrong. I love pineapple. It's really good. Really good. I don't know. I don't know. Are we going to be able to easily distinguish if, say, a warrior is a DPS or a tank in the linked group tool? Maybe going as far as a class name change similar to EQ? Well, thematically, we're definitely building the mastery branches to have like a thematic title and kind of a theme, as you can tell with like Bastion and Warlord. So we could definitely do that. The thing is going to be, because it's not like a, it's like, when do you lock that in? We were actually talking about this today a little bit, because this has come up quite a bit. You know, the idea of like having a title or like a way to distinguish what your mastery specialization is. And the question is like, when does that get locked in? When does it make sense for that to be displayed? Because it's more of a kind of a steady kind of transformation into that thing. So we could do it at max level, or like not max level. We could do it like once you reach like a certain point in the mastery tree where you hit that, where you would say like you've like specialized at this point. Like you are, because of how deep you've gone in Warlord, you are a Warlord warrior. That would be definitely easy to do it. And then yeah, you would just put, you know, add that as like a title, or, you know, even like who searches, and even like a character title kind of thing. But that's really the main question right now, is just like, when can you like safely define that? And then, yeah, do you have like a title to indicate like somebody who's, yeah, more mixed with it? Giardiniera onions and Italian beef. That sounds yummy. That sounds yummy. What I'd like to see eventually is, you know, we've talked about kind of having some more robust tools with like social tools and things like that. Brad always used to call it, what do you call it? Oh, P Harmony used to call it. P Harmony. But where you would be able to have like a little profile that you fill out, that when someone does a who search, they could actually like press a little button next to your name or whatever if you had a profile where they could see more detail about you and potentially could see like your mastery. They could potentially see like your, I don't know, like your like things that you write in about yourself, like, hey, this is kind of what I'm built for and what I'm interested in, and, you know, just kind of get a little bit more information on people like that. Oh, we got a 3-pull. Gotta lock in. Let me lock in. Yo, Fox Find the Box, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that. For reals. For reals. Gosh, I love healing, guys. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. Woo. Woo. Yeah, that would be another great way to do it too, is like you can pick what role, you know, you're intending to fill. So you could just see like just a simple little represent. Oh, got some lag. Yay. Had to step away for school pickup, so maybe I missed it, but base warrior package gives light plate and a nice HP boost over other non-tanks. Base ranger has chain and less HP, so if warrior goes DPS and is equal DPS to ranger melee spec, having you just switch the problem from why would I want a warrior whose DPS is good but not as good as pure DPS because it has better survivability, to why I would want a melee ranger who's squishy when I can have a warrior with the same DPS. Yeah, I mean, you could think of it that way, but in reality, the way that it ends up shaking out is like, as long as there's, you know, competitively built DPS classes in terms of their primary role, which is DPS, then you don't typically end up seeing that degree of scrutiny most of the time with, like, you know, I mean, just like forming this group here, like it wasn't you know, like DPS warriors have slightly better. Because the other thing you have to remember too is like rangers have so many more ways and tools to like stay away from hits, whereas you know something like a warrior, like a DPS warrior, is going to be up in the fray. They're not going to have like a whole lot of you know, tricks up their sleeve for things like that. So I don't think it becomes like a true issue. Better Half Gaming there. Bards are coming. Bards are coming. Mm-hmm. Roll. Enable auto attack on any attack. Thank you. Thank you. Congrats. Dahing. Why play a melee ranger over a rogue? Well, I mean a lot of it comes down to just like, I mean, the game at the end of the day, Pantheon is being built more so with like an immersive class play experience in mind, more so than like bowing to meta, you know? So at the end of the day, it's like what class fantasy do you enjoy more? Do you like the idea of being a class that, you know, is dealing melee damage but has like tracking and forage and some druidic magic and it has affinity with animals and things like that? Or do you like the class that, you know, is skulking around in the shadows and priming their blades with toxins and picking locks and, you know, things like that? No, Rangers won't be tanking. Oh, I ran and got in trouble. Red mage? Yes, Flange, we do. We do, absolutely. We plan to do a lot of UI updates functionality-wise, but then also, yeah, the aesthetic as well. This is very long in the tooth placeholder. What was the red mage? I want to look this up. Yeah, I'll need to do some research into that. That's cool. I'm 30 days in on a carnivore diet. Stop talking about pizza. That's tough. Pizza is my weakness. It is my weakness. Please don't forget consumables bar so we don't have to run around backpacks. Yes, yes. Consumables bar, the general like clicky bar. Yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. That is a big one. I really enjoy the way you can target the enemy and a party member or yourself for healing. That makes the game so much easier for healing to get into. Yeah. Yep. That's that is I don't remember seeing that in a game until Vanguard. Vanguard was the first time that I remember seeing that, and yeah, it's so nice with healing. So nice. Man, it's so, like, I don't know what you guys think about it, or if it's even like been in the forefront of your minds at all, but like, what do you think so far about the audio changes to kind of accentuate your character in the mix? Do you feel like that's been helpful? we're going to have, they've got, I've been talking to Phil a couple of times about this in general, and that's so funny. Gosh. They've got a really nice plan for, I wish I had a screenshot of it actually. Let's see if I still have it. Or if, I can't remember if he was like screen sharing or if he actually sent a screenshot. Let me check. But basically what he's planning with the sliders that we're going to expose eventually for audio to kind of dial a lot of that in. Same way we want to do with like, you know, visual effects and allow you to dial in kind of how much you see and all that. Let me see. Oh yeah, I see it. Wait, healer gloves? Ah! What? Ah! Ooh. Oh, they drop at the spiders. Okay. Gotcha. Got some boots. Let me see. Hold on one second. I want to kill Glorf here. Hold on. This is still pretty like placeholdery, and I'm not sure that we're going to expose all of these different things. But let's give you an idea. Down into kind of some of the different like degrees of control that we want to have. I mean, the audio stuff with Pantheons, I mean, it's going to be top tier. It's going to be top shelf, not only in terms of like the quality of it, but also in like the level of control that you guys have to dial it in and get it where you like it. All in good time. Arena zone in Pantheon? Oh, good grief, yes. Oh, yeah. And the goal is for it to be even. The goal is for it to be as weird. It wasn't like one of the things I feel like I've chased working on Pantheon is the way that it could make parts of the world feel weird. Does that make sense? Like the arena zone and Wrath Tier itself, like they felt weird. Like in a good way. I don't mean that in like a bad way. Like it was like, it just felt like a weird place to be. And I love that. It was like really far removed. It was like, you just got there and you felt like you were just, and I think as we lean more into like kind of, you know, having the different continents and then having like, you know, like ocean travel and things like that. And I think we're going to get into some really cool opportunities to just have some really remote places that just feel weird. I mean, Ocean of Tears locations did that as well. Like they just, you just felt like you were in a weird place. And there's a better word than weird. Dang. Level 11. Yeah. Yes. There will eventually be more attack animations and better looking attack animations, just that polish, yeah, big time. Yes. Indeed. I wish I had a better word for weird. Foreign? Which that's an unfortunate, that I'm not trying to draw a connection between those two things. But like, what's the word, guys? Not strange, like, it's a word that's meant to invoke a sense of like unsettledness or yeah, like to some degree like a strangeness. But not because it's like creepy or like scary or like makes you nervous or anything like that, but it's just like Wrath Tier, Lake Wrath Tier was weird. And it was filled with things that just were weird. I don't know. I'm gonna need to think about that. Liminal? I mean, not liminal, but that's kind of the vibe that I mean. Dagnor's Cauldron. Another place that just felt weird. Strange, unsettling. Yeah, a little bit eerie in a way. Like not scary, but a little eerie. Just trying to keep you guys on your toes, because of course I wasn't paying attention there. You just let me just, you know. Oof. What is that? Pressure plate that keeps obliterating us? Oh yeah, seeing that message, a festering hag begins to cast a spell. Woo! Oh man. I feel like we're describing my wedding. That was tree mosher. Tree mosher. I think liminal was the closest that came to like that feeling that I'm trying to describe. It's not it wasn't that it was like a liminal space or anything, but it's just the way that I guess it like the way it existed in the world. The fact that you had this, because it's part of it's that idea that like why would there be a place like this? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, like that feeling of like why does this place exist? Why is there this massive arena in the middle of this weird like lake bowl area? Like what would cause this to be here? Why does this exist? And maybe that is part of what makes something a liminal space. I mean, it's not that it had any kind of like visual element that felt liminal, but oh goodness, here we go. But yeah, why is this here? The utility bar, you kind of have to click like slightly above it and then drag far enough away from it to actually get it to move. And make sure that you haven't locked it. You might have locked it. Ooh, that's such a juicy hit with that two-hander. I love it. Guys, I need to put in my my warning here of being low on time. Probably need to head out here in the next 10 minutes or so. Oh, lag. Oh my. Yeah, data mock, agreed. Agreed. Not yet, Goose. Not yet. Bansalt, no, but we're planning on overhauling so much of this visually, and a big part of that plan is larger, more readable health bars. Yeah. Yep. Will Dark Knights come back? I'm not gonna call the current like lighting 100% finished, but the goal is not for like the majority of the overland to be like overly dark. The goal is for like subterranean areas like this, and then certain parts of the overland to be dark, but not like blanketed with darkness like it has been before. So once we get like vision, like racial like vision and vision modifiers through like abilities and items and stuff in the game, will we maybe make it a little darker than it is now? Maybe. We definitely reserve the right to do that, but a lot of that vision stuff is going to be most handy when you're dealing in like underground subterranean areas and in parts of the world that are naturally darker than others, like a really dense forest or a place with like a lot of like, you know, where there's not a lot of moonlight or things like that. Yeah, Lumpy, I agree with that 100%. Getting the percent numbers on health bars would be really nice. That is going to come. Yep. Yeah, visibility. That's kind of what I'm getting at there. Yeah. Scar are gonna be awesome. I'm excited about Scar. I'm really excited about gnomes. I can't wait till we get gnomes in. But I'm excited about Scar too. And the Archai. Archai are gonna be sick. No, I'm really excited about the Archai. Fun fact, the Archai is actually our lead rider, Jay and Gerhardt's favorite race. It's gonna be your main? Nice. They're really cool. They are really cool. Oh. Paradox, they've definitely been toned down a bit for sure. They're much more in kind of in the realm of like a good starter dungeon difficulty. There's still a few places that can get a little squirrely, just pathing wise or like over pulling, but yeah, it's definitely easier. And yeah, I said squirrely. You don't want something to get squirrely. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, liminal spaces are usually creepy and unsettling. I think that's a good... Maybe that is... but it's not like there's anything necessarily about the location itself that feels eerie. That's why it feels weird to try and describe it, because it's not... You know, you can see a liminal space and it's eerie because it just looks unnatural and kind of like it shouldn't exist. Like it shouldn't... But there's usually something triggering that in what it actually looks like, whereas it's not really in the visual of it. Like the arena in EQ wasn't weird in and of itself, I guess. I mean, in the fantasy sense, it was more just kind of the I don't know. Any plans to show the required mats when mousing over a schematic? It is one of the many improvements to like the crafting system in general that we need. So yeah, is this open beta? This is early access, so we are still definitely heavy in development, but the game is available for purchase and playable, but it is early access. I'm actually finally getting some armor here, guys. Yeah. Was it part of the Combine Empire? Maybe. Maybe. Is it brown? Namespeed, what are you asking that for? Of course it's brown. Of course. Of course. Hey, ding. Who was that? Knife-Therian? Grats? There's been quite a few big changes, yes, Selin. A lot of new content added, a whole lot of different like tweaks and various things. But we have a huge, massive update coming in the spring. That's going to be probably the most significant update, you know, well, I would say definitely the most significant update than we've had since we launched EA. So if you do decide to come back now and dive back in, just do so knowing that, number one, there's going to be a full character wipe, a full reset, first one that we've done since EA launched in the spring, and it's going to be coming with a heap of system updates, progression updates. It's going to be introducing the mail system, the player market auction house system, the mastery system, tons and tons of updates, lots of class updates. Like, it's going to be huge. Not a specific ETA yet, Mox, other than just in spring. The spring time frame. What do you mean visibility? What do you mean by that? More tech, yes. That's part of the pass that we're going to be doing for spraying, is going through kind of with a meticulous comb and making sure that everything's accurate. We've got a lot of cleanup to do there. Yeah. Who was that? That's whoever that was. Glorf! Glorf! Glorf. Oh, yeah. Grass isn't moving. We need to get that fixed. We may be able to get surnames in spring. Maybe. Not saying that 100%, but maybe. Okay. Well, guys, that's going to wrap us up for today. This was fun. Sneaking in a little Friday stream. But I'm glad this week's been great. It's been great to kind of talk through the mastery thing. It's a really big change. Understandably, there's a lot of questions. And, you know, I hope today's Dev Diary and then some of this discussion we've been able to have has been clarifying. It's only going to get clearer, you know, as we get into, you know, we're going to be doing Dev Diaries on each class and their mastery and some of their specific updates. So know that we'll continue to kind of supplement that with more info. But the discussion's been great. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it for sure. But guys, that's going to be a wrap for me for today. Again, please stay safe if you're in a place where the weather is going to be getting crazy. I will see you guys again on Monday. We'll have more to discuss. And guys, thank you so much for all the subs, the follows, continuing to support this channel, and just I genuinely can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it truly. You guys have an awesome weekend. I will talk to you when I come back on Monday. And oh yeah, let me raid someone. Hold on. Let's see who we got. Who do we got? Who do we got? Here we go. We got Voxfera, 2 viewers. Title says New Adventures Fresh Start in Pantheon. Looks like a brand new character. What better person to raid? What better person to raid? So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that, guys. All right, getting the raid started. About 6 seconds. So if you can hang around and hop over, show them some love, that'd be really cool. And ultimately, I will look forward to seeing you guys next week. So until then, please have an awesome rest of your day. Take care. And till next time, onward and upward, my friends. I will see you very soon. Adios.
All right, we'll see a bit.
It's a rate of 123 viewers.